morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Lada Smirnova, and I'm a methodologist at 3Words. I'm going to give you an introduction to 3Words learning environment and talk about 3Words learning cycle, 3Words learning environment, components we blend, why we blend these mediums. The main goals of the presentation are to introduce you to the following aspects: 3Words courseware, technologies used to support the learning experience, 3Words teaching approaches. As an introduction to this, I'd like to demystify the whole term blended learning. It has been around for a long time with a number of misinterpretations, and the most popular of them, but a bit misguiding, is that the blended learning is a kind of mixture of face-to-face and online learning and nothing more. To start with, blended learning is not any new form of learning from the learner perspective. The learning cycle is the same, and I guess will be the same ever. If we look at the learning cycle, the first stage is when the learners are engaged by e-learning content to the extent that they get to understand things that they didn't comprehend before. Then this will make them ready to practice and take action to perform new activities. Next stage number 3, is that by acting, they will realize that their actions don't always produce the right results, leading them to re-examine their actions to see whether they need to act differently or not. Next, number 4, by this stage learners are no longer just engaged, they are well and truly committed, and these commitments in turn lead them to seek out new engagements with new contents which point them in the direction of new understanding and practice. Teachers differentiate instruction and understand what each student needs to work on and why, and designs this environment and the processes. And then the cycle starts again. Whatever classroom we place learners, on campus face-to-face, in the virtual classroom, we have to scrutinize all these stages of our lessons to make sure that we know what step in the learning cycle the stages correspond to. Therefore, blended learning as a concept does more with instruction. The more precise would be to say that it is blended teaching. If you want to get more about blending as a concept, you can have a look at Oliver and Tregwell, 2005. We can say that what is blended should be theoretically coherent. Only in this case it can be blended, right? And this is what we should think about when we form part of a blend for our lessons in our particular context. So, what have we at 3Words blended to accomplish the educational goals to personalize learning? First of all, it is 3 different types of software: 3Words platform, Zoom, and interactive whiteboard. We have to say that the process of making decision about the courseware took us time, and we did it gradually. First, we researched the field. Then we chose synchronous and asynchronous technologies to provide our clients with highly interactive system to meet the learner's needs. After that, we reviewed off-the-shelf content and chose the materials according to international standards to avoid bad practice and not to step into copyright infringement and intellectual property theft. Then we set aims and objectives of every course and chunked chosen modules into units and determined the best mediums to deliver those units to the learner, bearing in mind that different mediums set up different dynamics. What we at 3Words want to emphasize that at the beginning you can start with the most familiar tools and adapt new technology at any point of your professional development when you feel that you are ready for it. Kind of interactive whiteboard, for example, ActiveInspire software I'm using now. The second blend is different interactions. We have developed the courses which can be accessible by teachers and students online at any point of time. We designed the tasks for students with different participatory patterns. As I said before, different media set up different dynamics, and our task as a teacher is to coax and nudge the individual to use a variety of mediums. The third blend in our system is different instructional tasks. We blend the learning tasks with the real cases to cater different learning preferences, including, for example, topical preference, which is very important, for example, in conversational classes. The next blend is different methodology. We base on our sense of plausibility to produce the optimal learning outcomes. We combine content structure with cognitive process and interactive activities, integrating new to the learners into language, and give special attention to the working of the mind during the learning process. And finally, we blend different types of assessment. A formative test in one of the synchronous lessons at the end of the term, milestones, a test taken asynchronously every third or fourth unit, and a student feedback. Now you can pause the video and think of your context, where you are mostly teaching in now. What and why something might be blended there? I guess some of you already have experience teaching by Skype, and now I'm going to show you some features that we at 3words have found particularly important for learning a foreign language, and the features which distinguish us from the Skype companies and help us stand out on the market and attract those clients who found the experience of learning English via Skype not that effective as they expected. The first feature is annotations. Annotations help visualization, and therefore, according to the dual theory, it aids memorization. Images are great teaching aids, and annotating them in real time on a whiteboard can really drive the learning experience. Second feature does with the fact that ELT is all about context, and mostly context-based. Language teaching requires a measure of text, and the whiteboard is ideal for this. The third feature, by teaching via the board, for better or for worse, the teacher has more control over what students look at and sees how they interact, since everything is going on the board. Feature number 4 is called like Plan B, as in backup. Internet communication technology is fragile, and if you have the lesson in a PDF file, you can easily upload it to another tool if one fails. Then next, our feature number 5 is the course structure. Slides communicate to the learners a course structure, whereas Skype lessons might end up to be mere conversation lessons and nothing more. The sixth one is does with 4 skills: speaking and listening, reading and writing, and all of them at once. They engage all of the learner's senses. For example, some take notes of the listening. This dialogue may be prompted by visuals or text, which may be annotated by a teacher or learner. And the final point is very important. It is the fact that the interactive board provides the learner with true interaction, and teachers guarantee support to help learners. And learners work in their zones of proximal development, to put it into Vygotsky's terms. And the learner interacts with the objects, and a teacher scaffolds their tasks. I've already said about our learning environment structure, and now I'm going to focus on potential affordances you can discern from our platform resources. Think about how they might be blended to usefully support learning. Now I'm going to show you some lessons prepared by our methodologists, and you can use them for your lessons. It's up to you when you prepare your lessons how you are going to use these lessons. You can supplement these lessons with additional materials, taking into account supplementary materials approval procedure described in all details in TreeWords Guidance for Teachers. Once again, you can plan your lessons in any medium you are the most familiar with. It can be PowerPoint, it can be ActiveInspire, and anything that meets the requirements mentioned in the TreeWords Guidance for Teachers. Speaking about synchronous and asynchronous taxonomy, we cannot avoid thinking about methodology we use to underpin our lessons. So now you know how our lessons look like, and speaking about synchronous and asynchronous taxonomy, we cannot avoid thinking about methodology we use to underpin our lesson design. At this point of my talk, I'd like to say a couple of words about the other fast-growing segment on the market. It is adaptive technologies. They are heavily pushed by Microsoft and by other people with big money. Some of their projects have been in the market now. Perhaps you've heard about them. It's Rosetta Stone, Duolingo, Voxy, LearnSmart, German-based Babblers. Adaptive technologies are a fully digital system of instruction underpinned by data-driven approach to learning language. The system gathers data from learning outcomes. It can be measured and allow computer algorithms to modify the instruction and anticipate what type of exercises and resources do the learners need in a particular moment of time in order to make progress. What adaptive technologies have all in common is the belief that everything that learners need to learn can be broken in very small manageable chunks. Bits of vocabulary, bits of grammar, bits of pronunciation. But small, I mean very micro bits. Whichever way we cut them. I don't mean present perfect as an aspect. I mean one of 4 functions of present perfect split into some dimensions of it. We at TreeWords don't have any problem in principle in terms of mastering grammar points or acquiring a lexical set this way. But I do have very serious reservations when it comes to mastering skills, whether receptive or productive, where we really don't have a consensus how to break them down into manageable chunks. Then there is no real evidence in theoretical as well as empirical research that all these tiny items, granular items, can be magically reconstructed, synthesized into a bigger whole, say competences in the Common Europe Framework for References is built on. We at Three Words also think that if we are talking about language systems, such numerical calculation can work to some extent because the progress can be measured, but it is much harder to do in skills, productive in particular, in speaking and writing. I'm going to show you the diagram that has helped me in designing my online lessons for years. I've made it using Roger's work, my Delta Tutor Birth Grant concepts of infection and injection, and Scott Thornberry's ideas. As you may see, that in the heyday of the communicative language teaching approach, there was a tendency to focus on the left side of the graphs, which now is clearly traced in the Skype-based teaching. And the right side of it reflects a very atomistic approach used by adaptive technologies projects. Each of the positions has its shortcomings. Injection in one side and infection in another, and the obvious way to avoid them is to fluctuate between. That is, to find the right balance for every lesson you are going to teach. While adaptive technologies take more and more space in the market, we at Three Words strongly believe that technology won't replace teachers, but teachers who use technology will. And blended learning programs have become our reality. The future belongs to those who design them, communicate them, and make them happen. Why not to be among them? So enough of me, and over to you to get to me with all the questions you have. Thanks for listening.